Okay, so to use your cleaner, close the main drain, open the cleaner line.
Okay.
And then you start reducing your skimmer with your gauge in the cleaner door until the gauge reads you're at maximum pressure.
Okay.
Okay. Now to start, I can kind of hear the tone of the pump changing with turbulence whenever we get close to the right area. You hear that change? And just crack it back open just a hair. We'll go stick your gauge in.
Alright.
We should probably start with the gauge. Okay, so the gauge says minimum and maximum. So you want it to suck down to where it's at maximum.
Okay.
So your cleaner door is right here. This. So we're going to have to use the end of the cleaner thing to pry it open because it has suction on it. Okay?
Alright.
Now then, you can see we're at the top of, it sucked it down a little bit. We're at the top of the box, and we need to be at the bottom of the box.
Okay.
So I'm going to go shut the skimmer just a little more to get it down.
Alright. Alright.
Now then, the manufacturer tells me to tell you to run the cleaner 4 hours a day. So what you can do is your pressure is not going to change within a week or two of great variance.
Right.
So what some people will do, will take a little magic marker, kind of like a whiteout pen. It's not really permanent or anything, and mark where your settings are. As your filter gets dirty, that pressure is going to change, but that's not something you're going to have to do this every time.
Okay.
So just once a week, you're going to want to check where you have your pressures at on your valves.
Okay.
So.
And you said as far as the cleaner that, you know, you can put these things in there and let them run for...
Sure, you can. That's the reality. The manufacturer says 4 hours, but most people don't listen to that. And they usually just let them run.
Let them run, yeah.
What one of my customers does, and it's a very similar pool, is he just leaves them all wide open. The cleaner, the main drain, all of it. And it's got enough pressure just to keep him moving, but it's very slow.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
When you put salt in the pool, you wait 24 hours after you put the first half in.
Right.
So based off your gallonage in the book that we're giving you, you go to your pool store, you tell them you're adding your first initial salt. They're going to ask you how many gallons you have. Based off your gallonage, they're going to tell you how many bags of salt you need.
Right.
So hypothetically, let's just say they give you 10 the first day. You're going to make sure this isn't off.
Right.
You're going to add 5 bags, hypothetically, if they give you 10.
Right. Exactly. Half.
So after 24 hours, after adding the salt, you put it on auto. Within about 10-15 minutes, it's going to give you an actual salt reading. You add a bag a day until you get between 27 and 3,400 parts per million. So if 27 is low, 34 is high, 31 is perfect. So add a bag a day until you get to 3,100. Okay?
Set on auto.
Set on auto.
And I don't have to super chlorinate.
Once a week as maintenance. Turn it to super chlorinate for 24 hours. After 24 hours, turn it back to auto. If you have a smaller pool, you might not have to do it for 24, but you'll not know that until you start doing it.
But once a week, super chlorinate, okay, and then back to auto. Okay. Alright.
If 24 hours seems too long of a period, then do it for 12.
How will I know that it's too long a period?
Your chlorine level will shoot way off the charts rather than just maintaining the pool chemistry.
Okay.
And you'll know that by your little test strips.
Okay, alright. Okay.
So if you're making too much chlorine, turn it down. If you're not making enough chlorine, turn it up.
Okay.
And check your water after after 24 hours. So if you turn it down for 24 hours, check your chlorine level. If it's still too high, turn it down some more. Okay?
Okay.
Usually after about the 3rd day, you'll have it found that
dialed in
sweet spot of how much chlorine you need to produce.
Okay.
Okay? Different times of the season, you're going to need different chlorine production. like right now, you'd need very minimal. It might be on 10.
Okay.
During the peak summer where it's 113 degrees and sunlight for 12, 14 hours a day, you might have to turn it all the way up to 90.
Really?
You might have to turn your timer on to create enough chlorine during a 24-hour period to maintain a chlorine level.
Now, why the timer being off?
If there's not water going across the cell, then it's not producing chlorine.
So why would I turn that off, though?
Well, if you have it on a timer like from 7 to 7, okay.
Oh, you mean turn it off to where it's on all the time?
Right, turn the timer off.
Oh, turn timer off so the pump's on all the time. I got you. Okay.
Because during that 113 degree weather,
run the pump.
You might want to leave it on 70, but at 70, it's not producing enough chlorine.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? During that 12-hour window.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I want the pump running in the summer and swimming seasons during the hours of
anytime you're
sunlight.
Producing chlorine, you're going to want it running during that time.
Yeah.
So even in August and September and October, when you're still producing chlorine and you don't have a pool shut down or anything, you're going to want it running during peak sunlight hours.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. I got that.
So when you turn this switch, different modes come on your lights. So right now the power light's on even though it's off.
Right.
When you turn it to auto, it says generating, so it's trying to produce chlorine.
Okay.
When you turn it to superchlorinate, the superchlorinate light comes on.
Right.
Okay. When you turn it off, all those lights go off. You don't have smart controls, which is a remote system, so that light will never be on. No flow means there's no water going across the cell, so it won't produce chlorine. Low salt, not enough salt, so it won't produce chlorine. High salt, too high, it won't produce chlorine. Whenever the salt levels are wrong, the inspect cell light automatically comes on. Okay?
Okay.
So if you have a salt issue, resolve that before you worry about the inspect cell.
So if I put too much salt in here,
it won't produce chlorine.
Okay. All right. And the only way to correct that,
drain it off.
Drain off some water, replace the water.
So that's why we say a bag a day.
Don't want to do. Yeah.
Because if you start dumping 4 or 5 bags in, you might shoot up too high.
Okay.
And that's a pain.
Yeah.
So, inspect cell is like, as an example, the oil change light on your car. It will come on by itself to tell you to clean the cell. On top of the cell, it tells you to clean and inspect every 3 months. So unscrew those couplings.
Right.
Hose it out. Take a soft bristle brush that'll fit through it and run it through the cell.
Okay.
Okay? It won't hurt anything. You can buy a cleaning tool at a full store for $125. Or you can go to Walmart to the baby bottle aisle and get a baby bottle nipple brush for $1.20.
Okay.
It's just an example. You know, I have a life and barrel brush that's really soft bristles that I use. That's all the way through.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
What you can see inside of it looks like calcium buildup. Little white crystallizing mineral deposits. And the plates inside them reverse polarity to help keep them clean as well. It's very minimal. It really depends on your water chemistry as far as how much you're going to build up.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, like the oil change light on your car, you have to reset it once you clean it. So if the inspect cell light comes on and tells you to clean it, and you just cleaned it, and you don't need to clean it, or you go ahead and clean it, you press and hold this diagnostic button after you're done for 3 seconds, and it'll reset the inspect cell light. That information is also here on the door.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Okay.
That's all there is to that.
I got that.
Alright. Whenever any of these warning lights are on, it won't produce chlorine.
Okay.
Because every chemical has a freezing and a boiling point.
Right.
Below 50 degrees, the electricity used by the cell to separate the compound salt into sodium and chlorine, it won't produce chlorine.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
See if there's anything else I need to tell you. The chlorine in on it, and it shocks that chlorine that's inactive into moving again.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So, kind of like a fire that's going out, dump gasoline on it, boom, you got a big fire again.
Yeah. Okay. So when you smell chlorine,
It's inactive chlorine.
it's inactive
It's not
chlorine.
moving. Kind of like when you go to hotels, you can
Yeah.
smell their chlorine, they don't shock their pool.
Okay. Is that what you're doing when you put that superchlor? You're shocking?
Same thing.
Same thing.
It's
Okay.
a different terminology.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay?
All right. Just if you would briefly on the filter.
Okay.
That gauge.
Green is clean, red is dirty.
Right.
When you turn the pump off, the black line drops because you're not producing pressure.
Right.
When you turn it back on, the black line moves because you're creating pressure.
Okay.
As your filters get dirty, they're not going to flow as much, so they're going to increase pressure. So that black line's going to climb.
Okay.
Now when we turned it off, the green and the red stayed still.
Right.
Because in normal operation mode, you're always going to have the same amount, create the same amount of pressure, except for as your filters get dirty.
Right.
So when it was clean, we set the green on top of the black because that was our starting pressure.
Starting pressure. Okay.
Alright? So, as the black line climbs to the red, when it hits the red, it's time to clean your filters. Okay, to do that, you're going to take this one bolt off here, after you've turned the pump off,
Right.
and opened up the air relief and the pump pot lid to let all the water out.
Right.
You're going to take this one bolt off.
Right.
Okay? Once the bolt's off, separate the clamp.
Right.
Top piece picks up, set it off to the side. All four of your cartridge filters will be exposed. You can see them. They're round, cylinder, with a hole in the middle. You can't see the hole in the middle until you take the bracket off the top. There's a little bracket that snaps in it on all four filters.
Okay.
You can't get it mixed up because it says this side attaches the filter. Okay? Just pull it off, set it to the side, twist, and wobble the filters off. Don't yank on them. Okay? Once you've got all four filters off, hose them off, turn them upside down, hose them off again all the way around. Okay? That's what you do the first time. Anytime after that, you'll go to your pull store, tell them you're cleaning your cartridge filters, and they'll give you a chemical. The hardest part of that is finding a trash can that'll hold them.
Okay.
Fill it up with water, put your filters in there after you've hosed them off, add the chemical, let them set for 24 hours. After 24 hours, hose them off, stick them back in. They don't have to go back in any certain order.
And in that 24 hours, the pool pump is off.
Right.
Okay.
Some people will go to the expense of buying an extra set of
Right.
filters just to rotate them out.
Yeah.
We only clean ours maybe 2 times a year. And we live in a very wooded area.
Okay.
Lots of debris, so you might not have that, but every pool's different.
Yeah.
You won't know that till you get into it.
All right.
So once again, clean them with the filters off. Okay. Before you can put it back together, you have to clean off the seating surfaces, which is the flat part of the clamp, where the filter where the clamp fits on it. Okay.
Okay.
Between the two flat surfaces is a 3/4 inch black O-ring with a wire through it so it holds shape. You have to take that off before you put it back together and wipe down the O-ring and wipe down the two flat seating surfaces. When you take it apart, real fine gritty dirt can get out in between them and it can cause it to drip. It won't seal all the way.
Okay.
Okay?
And that's this gasket around this flange.
Correct.
Okay.
And it sounds a lot more complicated than it is. If you just take one bolt off, take the top off, you can see it.
Okay.
Okay? There's a flat surface on the top, there's a flat surface on the bottom, and then there's an O-ring.
Okay.
Wipe all that off, put the O-ring back down, set your filters inside, make sure they're flush all the way down. You don't want to bang on them or anything, they go on pretty easily.
Okay.